15, 2014.
I move we accept the minutes of from 9/15/2014.
Discussion? Yes.
Thank you. I looked at the draft and I read a statement in that meeting. It's not part of the agenda. And so I would like it to be included with that meeting. Earlier received this email and I have a copy right here now with me if you need it. And I find that the minutes contain the statement.
Okay. Anyone have a problem with that statement being included in the minutes? No. Not a problem. Will be put with minutes.
Very much.
You're more than welcome. So it has been properly moved and seconded that the minutes for September the 15th be approved with that correction or addition, not correction, with that addition.
How about that?
I'll ask Mr. Fambro to email it to you again, so just put it with the minutes that we keep in the history room.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I believe in order we need to approve the agenda for the meeting.
We'll do that right after we finish the minutes. Thank you for bringing that up. I was hoping to do that right after the minutes.
Okay.
So therefore, that Mr. Fambro gave a statement to all of the board regarding library and library authority, etc. He wants that to be included, copy included with minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Yes? Let's hear it.
I'm sorry. That's a motion or just, I don't understand the procedure.
He's asking that the minutes from the meeting did not include a copy, a hard copy of what he had given. I am saying that that could be put as an addendum to the meeting for the minutes for our history purposes. Any problems? Any discussion on that? For history purposes, put it in there. Put that as an addendum to the minutes. All in favor? Roll call.
This is a roll call on the
Yes.
motion that hasn't been said.
Yes.
You did
Yes,
it?
I did.
Okay. Mr. Fambro made the move and.
No, I
No, I moved the motion. The signer seconded
With addition.
with addition.
Mr. Bibb?
Yes.
Mr. Silvera?
Yes.
Mr. Fambro? Yes. Ms. Sinor?
Yes.
Dr. Rice?
Yes.
5 yeses.
Motion to approve of minutes with that one addition. Approval of minutes. So the minutes have now been approved. That's one addition. Mr. Silvera brought up that there is something, we have asked that that the statement be put on approval of the agenda, on all future agendas of this board. And at present, you want to, so we want to approve the agenda here. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to amend the agenda
Yes.
to include a executive session for the board on, for information purposes on matters of finance and personnel.
Okay. So the executive session to go at item 14?
Yes, right after audience participation.
Okay, right after audience participation, because it's an information executive
Information, right.
session, and then we're out.
Right.
Okay, if the audience want to wait for us, they can, but it's an information session, and so that the only thing that is being done is giving information.
Right.
We want to add an agenda item for the executive session for information as item 15,
Yes.
and then the adjournment.
The
Does everyone understand the addition to the agenda? Yes.
This past Friday, there was a funeral for a former library employee. And after reading the pledge of the board, I would like a moment for reflection.
How about after we get finished with the agenda, we do that? What, so we include everyone in that? Would that be okay? Mr. Gerald Sevier has said that we need to include an executive session, and that executive session should be for information, be number 15. Yes.
Information.
Madam Chair, I would also ask that we table items table items number 11 and number 12 as the committee chairs are absent still. That way we can expedite moving through the agenda.
Okay. The reports for library services and strategic planning will be tabled for today because those chairs are absent today. And they have not sent in a report. Okay. Not a problem. Any other changes or additions to the agenda? Hearing none? Yes, sir?
We're gonna have another meeting before the 31st.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna do it.
You don't want to, we're going to have it on the 31st. So, see, that's big. We have heard the additions to the agenda. What is your pleasure?
I move that we accept the addition of item number 6, is that item number 15 to the agenda and the tabling of item numbers 11 and 12 to the agenda.
Okay. Is there a second?
Somebody trying to get in.
I would suggest to the agenda that we didn't mention.
Okay.
Yeah, he wants to, and I agree,
Moment.
definitely, about the reflections and.
I amend my motion. I move that we accept the additions to the agenda, the first addition being a executive information session to be at the end of audience participation, a moment of reflection at the loss of a previous library employee, and the tabling of items number 11 and 12 of the agenda.
And that moment of reflection will be right after 3, which is right after the approval of the, where we are now with the agenda before the communications. Okay? You've heard, Ms. Siner has made that motion. It has been seconded by Mr. Silvera. Roll call.
Mr. Bibb?
Yes.
Mr. Silvera?
Yes.
Mr. Fambro?
Yes.
Ms. Sinor?
Yes.
Dr. Rice?
Yes.
5 yes.
Motion passes. Let's, ladies and gentlemen and board members, we have lost a former member of the library staff. I'd like to ask our director if she would say a few more words about the young lady, and then we want to have a moment of silence for her. So, would you give us a few minutes of who she is?
Yes, thank you, Madam
You
Chair.
have, you get somebody.
Excuse me. We're checking, Mr. Moore is walking out to make sure we can have people getting killed. He's on the phone with security, so I apologize for him on his behalf. We lost Bobby Jean Phillips. I would believe it was the last week, I think it was a Tuesday of September,
Okay.
the last Tuesday of September. She was in a fatal car accident on Route 422, Mayfield Road, and she died in a head-on collision effectively a week and a half later. And it was very much so all of a sudden, as you all remember, Miss Phillips, she was the young lady security guard that would work with us. Miss Phillips got let go, I believe, sometime earlier this year. But nonetheless, she was a auxiliary police officer for East Cleveland and dedicated to the profession. She was really working hard to become a police officer, and we're really honored that she spent her time with us as a person committed to public service. Her funeral was Friday, and it was held at the True Holiness Church on Euclid Avenue. wonderful structure. And there were actually a lot of people there to represent and stand up and remember her. So we're going to miss her. I'm most proud of the fact that our staff, when we found out that Ms. Phillips had died, she did not have, unfortunately, any insurance. And it was a burden, a financial burden on the family. But I'm most proud that my team came together and we were able to raise $460 for her funeral expenses. So I'm a little tongue-tied. I was not expecting to say anything about Bobby, but I did want to commend the staff for pitching in to get the resources together for her to have a good homegoing. She had a good homegoing.
Thank you. One moment, Mr. Bibb want to say something, then we'll have a
Add to
minute or
that,
something.
Councilman O'Mays and former Councilman Dr. George Jordan, that was really blood-worth Councilman's great niece. And also a great facility, that was the former Playhouse, before they built the one, and they took over Sears, before they took over Sears Roebucks, made it the Playhouse. Then they closed it and moved it downtown. That's why they built it so strong.
And Mr. Fambro would like to have a moment as well.
Just only to say that it was a pleasure to have known and work with Officer Phillips. She was very personable, and she always made it a point to speak to me whenever I was around, even if she saw me first. I had the occasion to see her at a restaurant one evening when I was out with my family, and she came over to the table and greeted us. She was a wonderful young lady, and I just wanted to say that she will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fambro. Now, one moment of silence, please, for Bobby G. Phillips.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Communications.
Yes, Madam Chair, we had two letters. One, and I will ask for Ms. Murray to stand, please, Ms. Karen Murray. Ms. Murray on September the 12th informed me in writing that she has been appointed as a trustee for the Euclid Public Library. Obviously, she's a resident, and she'll be making that wonderful civic contribution to that community. And she was sworn in on September the 9th, and congratulations.
Congratulations indeed.
Our second correspondence was from the County Budget Commission, from Brian Dunn for our PLF distribution. There's a typo there. Our distribution amount for East Cleveland Public Library for the remainder of the year was $98,000 instead of $94,000.
Okay, so it was a typographical error, the reason we had
Yes.
94.
It's
Okay,
$98,000.
all right, very good. Does that conclude the communications?
That concludes
All right, we can go. Yes,
Director, what period does that cover? That $98,000 covers for what date to the end of the year? So what date would that be?
So it's going to amount for that amount for the second half of the year. We get our money at the first part and the second part of the year.
So this would be like June 1?
No, this is from July all the way back until the 31st.
Of December.
Yes.
Thank you.
any other questions on that? Any other questions on that? Hearing none. Director's report?
Yes, Madam Chair. September We did outreach at the Heritage Middle School on September the 9th and Tuesday, September the 10th. We were able to impact 240 students, getting them access to library cards, the library sign-up campaign, or the library sign-up one campaign. And they learned about the merits of our library and the utility of the library card. We have started a lot of different interesting programs to capture the creative interests of our young patrons. We had Manga Club, we had 12 attendees. Ms. Courtney Love, she recognized a gap in programming around manga. That's a Japanese art form, and it's a popular style of graphic novel. So she has a club where teens and young adults can come together and discuss their love of manga and all things Japanese. They meet the first week of every month. We did start a creative writing workshop on Tuesday, September the 8th. We just pretty much feel we're going to get some momentum around that. But it was ran by Mr. Travis Fortney. He has a background from creative writing out of Chicago, and he got us back into this vein. And as you all might know, in the past it was pretty popular, creative writing classes, so we just want to get them back on the map for people to come in. And we have October, this month, we have some people already signed up. We had a drama boot camp September the 8th, and Ms. Courtney Love, who has a background in performance from Bowling Green University Performance and Theater Arts, she created a 3-week drama camp for our young people and young adults from 10 to 18, and it was amazing. We had 35 attendees. They're going to do a production in December, so hopefully you get to see what it did for them. But they learned a lot about acting, directing, and then, you had to do some incentives. We let them play some games afterwards. We have been doing very well with the attendance for our jury making workshops, and that's been on Mondays. And we've been having about, I would say, 30 to 45 people attending these jury making workshops. We had a community member, Jessica Kay. She's an artist. She's the person who did the Haiti artwork we had on the wall about 6 weeks ago. This work that you see on the wall now is from the East Cleveland residents who are artists. And gorgeous. Isn't it lovely? It's great. The Anansia Artists Alliance. But anyway, she was the person who did the Haiti work, if you can remember the Haiti work. And with the workshop interest, a lot of people are really interested in participating. So we did have a contest for them at the end of the series, which actually ended up being, they extended a week, the beginning of October, and I will announce next month who the winner were. One of our friends, Miss Maddox, was a judge, and she gave a first and second prize for the necklace work, the beading work that some of the ladies did. We had a back-to-school rally for East Cleveland school students on September the 13th. We impacted, I would say, between 150 to 200 attendees. Ms. Gregory attended our rally on our behalf at the Shaw High School. And at the rally, we were able to tell our patrons about programming at the library, and we handed out 150 backpacks that were full with school supplies for students going back to school. In the middle of September, we had the Boy Scouts of America come visit the school, our library, and we're partnering with them to bring a troop to East Cleveland. New Boy Scouts here.
Former. 215.
All right.
Main Metropolitan Church.
All right. But we want to give our boys a chance to experience the wilderness, outdoors, readiness, a lot of readiness and training go with Boy Scouts activities. But we had 15 young men and their families attend our workshop, so it's going to get us a treat. Right. A lot of times the boys get left out on programming, so you got to really be creative to make sure we do something for them. we've got our book club, but we gotta get a little more momentum around that. We had Courtney help us out with that, and we just had one attendee, so I challenge everyone in the audience to join in next month, so I'll have more to report. We partnered with the Susan G. Komen Foundation in September, on September the 23rd, for breast cancer awareness. And what we did was we did a program. We had 7 attendees, and we had a program to talk about breast cancer and the impacts it has on people's lives and resources available for people impacted by the disease. Unfortunately, African American females are the most susceptible to having stage 4 breast cancer because they don't have access to awareness campaigns. So we really want to make sure we bring awareness campaigns to the table for our patrons. Cuyahoga County Councilman Anthony Harrison had a community connection fair on Saturday, September the 27th, and we attended that. We were up in Cleveland Heights at their recreational center. But as you all know, the county administrative map, as far as the council, it overlaps into different communities. So we were invited to go up to Cleveland Heights, and we connected with residents from the county and surrounding areas to find out about, so they can find out about activities we have going on with programming and resources here at the library. College Now, Greater Cleveland, Ohio, are doing SAT preparation classes here at our facility. They're using the conference room, and they're meeting up in the conference room, where you all know what the conference room is. But anyway, they're meeting even in October and November. But in September, we got the students prepared for the SAT, and we had some pretty good attendance for that. And these are students that are coming from Shaw High School, and the instructor is Emma Shear. And again, we're getting them ready for SAT. We partnered with Wild U Job Readiness, and on September the 29th, we started with a series, I think it's I believe it is a 6-week series that we're engaging our young people in our community to bring them in line with job readiness activities and training. So we have Stacy Colton of Wild U engaging with our students in hands-on interactive activities to help them prepare for job interviews, resume writing, and behavior that's expected in the workplace.
Okay, well.
Thank you, Mr. O'May. Also, we are continuing in professional development activities. We had staff attending various webinars, workshops, and the likes. Community meetings that I think were very important to mention include the Annisville Wolf Book Awards. I think Dr. Rice, you attended.
Yes.
And I think Trustee Simon, I saw you there.
Yes.
You attended as well, but that was a phenomenal event held at the Playhouse for the 79th Annisville Wolf Book Awards. I attended the Infinite Scholars Program scholarship banquet on September the 10th. Ms. Phillips, Sarah Phillips, we had 2 Phillips here. She attended the East Cleveland Democratic Club that same day on my behalf, on the library's behalf, and she met with the public, and Councilman Martin was here earlier. As well, we had a community meeting with MyCom, and Ms. Phillips represented the library at the MyCom meeting, and we're still working with the city and partnering on how to best market and advertise for all community agencies programs. And East Cleveland Public Library attended, Ms. Murray attended for us on our behalf, the Bridges of Hope Planning Committee meeting for the Teen Summit that they held, I believe it was last Saturday, they had the Teen Summit here any school. So I attended my various personnel and committees, or personnel finance committees last month. I attended my NEO board meeting. I attended the monthly board meeting. I attended the OLC directors meeting on September the 17th out at the Euclid Public Library. And that meeting was really critical because library directors across the county are going to be working very closely with OLC to mount a strategy for us to get back in line with receiving our funding levels, trying to get our funding levels increased. Right now, we're getting 1.66% of our funding, meaning that we're operating off the 1997 funds. So the directors, again, of Cuyahoga County will be working together to make sure we push those levels back up to 2.22. Because of the fracking industry profits, there is more money in our public coffers, so we want to bring that money back to our libraries. I got a chance to be with Mr. Alan Seifel and Bonnie Venable at the Channel 5 studios and Newsnet 5 for Kaleidoscope. We appeared on television, I believe, October it was a Sunday, the first Sunday in October. And we were there promoting it back in September for the Quincy Troop program that we had about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So with the Quincy Troop event, we were very successful with a fundraiser, and I'll report more on it next month, but we partnered with the Friends of the Library. They collected the money, and we charged tickets for $15 for people to come to listen to poetry and jazz, and our event was emceed by Ms. Dee Perry from NPR, so we were really excited about that, and we actually had a full house. I believe we sold about 200 tickets. Thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for helping us out on that, but the television, the newspaper, and I guess the radio really paid off because we had a chance to be on the radio with Dee Perry as well. So I met also with Ilinda Reese on September 18th, debriefing staff training related to the things she did for us back in May, and we were talking about collaborating again. And I also met with Alice Seifela to discuss some programs related to cursive writing classes, and that's something we just started this month, and we have had, in our first class, we had 12 children show up for the cursive writing class with Ms. Seifela, so we're really excited about that. And it's a team up or a partnership, I would say, with the Pee Wee Reading Club we have. Our numbers are increasing for our Pee Wee reading, and we believe that we'll have more students after the first market period. So once those grades come in, we'll have more people. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the,
Yes.
yes, Mr. Fambro?
You mentioned a $15 charge to attend a building library
Correction, donation,
donation. Okay.
fundraiser.
Right.
Friends of the Library.
So the fundraiser, that was my question. Who, okay, for the Friends, or was it a partner?
We partner with the Friends and the Anansi Alliance. The artists on the wall, we work with them to spotlight the artists of East Cleveland's work. A, B, we partnered with the Friends to collect the resources, and the money will be divided between the East Cleveland Public Library, because the Friends are going to assist us. Mr. Seifela and his group, the Anansi Alliance, will split the fundraiser with us.
Okay, is that a 50-50 split?
Yes.
Okay, and the split is between the Friends of the Library and the library itself?
The split will be,
A three-way split? Or a two-way split?
well, the Friends are going to be so generous to give it to us.
I didn't hear.
Excuse me?
I didn't
It's
hear
going to
you.
be a split between the Friends collected the money. All right, they have to capture your money. And so the division will be between the Anansi Alliance and the library. So the third party essentially is the Friends to capture the money. And so we let everyone know it was a fundraiser.
Okay, so the money you're not collecting from portion for the library at this point?
We are tallying our numbers, recent numbers. We're about 220 tickets. We'll do the debriefing later on next week.
Okay, I'd like to know the exact final results.
Absolutely, that will be reported upon next week.
Not a problem. Are there any additional questions to the director's report? Hearing none, what is your pleasure for the director's report?
I move that we accept the director's report.
Second.
It has been properly moved by trustee Seinor and second by trustee Silvera that the director's report be accepted. Roll call.
Mr. Bibb?
Yes.
Mrs. Silvera?
Yes.
Mr. Fambro?
Yes.
Ms. Sinor?
Yes.
Dr. Ray?
Yes.
5-0.
Motion passes that the director's report be accepted. And thank you very much for the good report. Mr. Bibb, I missed you at the Annisville Book Awards this year. I was looked all over for you, but good luck.
They call me Columbus.
Oh, okay, that is right. You're trying to pull some. Okay. Fiscal officer report, Mr. Ross Cockfield, the deputy fiscal officer report.
Thank you, Dr. Rice. Let me begin by publicly thanking the board for the opportunity to serve you and the public in the absence of our current fiscal officer. With that being said, coming into the position, I've identified some immediate goals, the first of which is to assess the current condition of the office. Secondly, to establish policies and procedures to ensure accurate and timely information. And thirdly, to work constructively with the director and the board to judiciously manage the library's resources. Of those three goals, the first is still in progress. It's somewhat of a daunting task in that there's quite a lot to review, quite a lot to go through. And as I make progress, I will certainly keep the board apprised of what I find and what's going on. The second of which, establish policies and procedures to ensure accurate and timely information, brings me to the package of financial reports that I'm presenting to the board this evening. My intent is basically to supply succinct information. I don't want to inundate the board with a lot of numbers. I will hopefully review and answer any and all questions in the Finance Committee, with the general board meeting being an opportunity to summarize and present some very general information for the board and the public's review. So this evening, what I wanted to do was to at least present the board with a small package of information that hopefully will give you a flavor of the kinds of information that I want to present and why. The first of the reports is an appropriation status, which essentially gives the board a picture of what the final appropriations are, our reserve for encumbrance, year-to-date expenditures, what's left in the way of an unencumbered balance, and a year-to-date expenditure column, which pretty much tells us what we've done on a year-to-date basis. The second of the reports is involved with where we are right now in trying to pull the information together that the board needs to operate in an effective manner. In reviewing the appropriations, I noticed that there were a number of line items that were either over-appropriated or under-appropriated. And what I wanted to do this evening was to present to the board my suggested increases and decreases in order to bring the appropriations more in line with expected expenditure for the balance of the year. And that is the second report that you see. Accompanying that report our suggested appropriation changes, which basically gives the board a brief narrative of why these appropriation amounts are either being increased or decreased. The fourth report is a payment listing identifying the warrants and expenditures that the board has, or that the library has paid in the current month. And the very last report is basically it is a fund status, which essentially identifies the library's cash position at the end of the month. So these are the, at least as a preliminary offering, so to speak. Excuse me. These reports represent what I'm presenting to the board in the way of financial reports for the board's review and consideration. As we go forward, I would certainly invite any of the board members to contact me if there's any information that's unclear. Would also like to offer the opportunity for the board to get together with me and go through these reports in more detail so that everyone has a very clear sense of the information that's being presented. So with that being said, that ends my report.
Thank you very much for that very clear report from me. And yes.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the fiscal officer's report.
It has been properly moved by Mr. Gerald Spera that we accept the fiscal officer's report.
I second.
And second by Mrs. Trustee Sinor. Question. Mr. Pembroke.
Mr. Cockfield, the former employee serving as the fiscal officer here at the library indicated in several reports and over a piece of time that she was preparing specialized information that had been requested by the school board. Now, I know as a former records retention officer that requests from any public or agency to any other agency does not require the special preparation of information to satisfy the request of any records requested. That there are laws clearly stating that any information requested be given in the original form that it appeared. Otherwise, you don't have the record. So as we make our reports to the state of Ohio and to any of the reporting agencies that we report to, I'm just asking you to follow the law. I'm saying that you don't have to make up special records for anyone. The law does not state that we have to do that. We give them whatever original records were that contained their specific information, and that's what they get. Not taking your time away from your duties to prepare extra work for them. You work for the library, not for the school board or any other agency or individual that may request records. Because what I know is that they've been requesting records in a specific format that the original records were not in the first place. So I just wanted to cover that. Well, thank you, Madam Chair.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. It's been properly moved and second. Do you have any additional comments? Yes, sir.
The form where you show us the reduction and increase that probably what we just talking about. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments? Hearing none. Roll call.
Mr. Bibb?
Yeah.
Mr. Silvera?
Yes.
Mr. Fambro?
Yes.
Ms. Sinor?
Yes.
Dr. Rice?
Yes.
5-0.
Motion passes. Thank you for that report. I certainly appreciate it. And the Finance Committee, when you have a chance to ask a lot of questions regarding the report, it's always on, your finance committee meetings again are first Thursday of every month, and believe me, the meeting goes fast and you get a lot of clarity from what comes out of those reports. The next thing on the agenda is from the board president, the Ichabod Llewellyn collection. I'll just simply say that it came to my attention that there may or may not be some irregularities with the Ichabod Llewellyn. We have not gotten, I just have that one report. Director, I'm going to ask you to speak to it, and then we'll see if we need any others. I will speak. Okay, I'll have the director, then Mr. Fambro, and then anyone else that we need to have at that time. Yes, your comment?
Last year, on my watch, I made sure we always reported on the Llewellyn collection.
Yes.
We are fortunate to have Miss Rita Knight Gray, who's in the audience with
Yes.
us. Could you raise your hand, Ms. Knight Gray? So she was originally hired to work on the Llewellyn collection. She is an archivist. I don't believe that job was technically ever funded correctly. It was a grant position. But nonetheless, I've always made an effort last year to make sure that we had a report, a status report, and we had also made sure she had a little bit of time dedicated weekly to work on the collection and making sure items are processed. I did get a report from her. I did not include it because, of course, we're going to be moving towards some more formality. And I would like, if you allow me, to go back to reporting each month.
I would like that very much to include, because even now, when I passed by and looked at the collection today, oh, it's gorgeous. Absolutely, the display is, if you haven't had a chance to see what's there down, the way this is displayed, please stop in. Gorgeous.
And I will say that Quincy Troop's wife, Margaret Troop, she was very impressed with the items that were on display, particularly the Blind Tom display. Ms. Troop holds a salon in Harlem, and she was very fascinated about the things we had on display. And she brings in a lot of writers from our wonderful, esteemed writers that are from Ohio, such as Toni Morrison, she just had.
Oh,
So
yes.
she has really powerful writers, and she had one of her writers who did a book on Blind Tom. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. But nonetheless, we will make sure we report on that collection. I know that the last status I have is that Ms. Knight Gray had been digitizing some of the pictures. It is unfortunate that collection is not protected at the standards I believe it should be protected at. People can walk up and down as long as you have access to the staff areas. It's not a totally secure area. But I will begin to report each month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Pembroke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director, I know that in meetings with the school board, some comments were made that really trouble me. This would be last year, where a concern was made from the school board concerning the Ichabod Llewellyn collection specifically, and a statement that to something to the effect of, if you all at the library can't manage the collection, then the collection would go back to the family, the Llewellyn family. I took that as a threat. And I'm very concerned about it because the school board has no authority over anything here at the library, and I've stated that before. And not over budgeting, not because they're the taxing authority, not because they appoint trustees. They have absolutely no authority whatsoever over this trustee board. The trustee board is the final boss over the entire library, all of everything. And I'm stating that again emphatically because regarding the Ichabod Llewellyn collection, it's come to me, someone has told me that some portion of that collection has been removed from the library. Is that true?
Well, I have no ability to inventory the collection because it's basically upstairs. Now, is it true? I mean, your comments, they're full of conjecture as far as me trying to...
There's no conjecture.
It's my opinion.
Is it in writing? The person who the person who made the concern, will they put it in writing for us?
I can ask.
Would you
So,
please?
on my watch, as a person committed to library science, I'm not gonna let anything walk off on my watch. Now, you can ask Ms. Knight Gray if the Madam Chair would permit her to speak.
It's the board's pleasure. Would you like to hear Ms. Knight Gray?
I'd like to.
It's the board's pleasure to hear Ms. Rita Knight Gray. If you're finished with your comments, Madam Director.
Well, I would like to say that why would we weaken our position by allowing the collection to be lost? And I was so fortunate to gain access to Ms. Knight Gray. Was she hired right, wrong, or indifferent? I felt that it was important for her to come back and work with the collection, because from what I know, I believe she does know the family. He has a huge family. There are other people in this room that might be related to him, all right? But the point is, you want people with original history and knowledge of that collection. And that collection just has not been properly supported. And last year was a tumultuous year.
Mr. Famro, when he finishes the floor, then I'd like for Ms. Rita Knight Gray to speak. And I'm going to recognize, believe me, the elected officials that are out here in the audience to begin with. It is my plan to do that. So if you just,
Thank you.
please, please.
Now, I will ask Ms. Rita Knight Gray about the accuracy of what I have heard. But do we have measures in place to make sure that that collection remains whole? And the other piece is that I really want to establish that the school board here in East Cleveland is not over anything. And they're not over that collection. They cannot order that collection go back to the family or any other nonsense and madness.
Okay, as president of this board, no one from the school board has said anything like that to me.
Well, they have to me.
I'm just being honest. They have not to me,
They have
so.
to be honest as well. They
Okay.
sent to me. Now, Ms. Rita Knight Gray, has any artifacts from the collection of the Llewellyn collection been removed from the library?
When I first returned after my, as you could say, resigning, I did find a few items that weren't in their proper places. It took me a couple of months to locate it, but it appeared that people had gone in, pulled stuff out, and put it in the wrong place. So after the couple of months, I was able to locate the material, so there's nothing missing. As far as the materials you were speaking about, the school board, it's not the school board, it's the family that can take it back.
No, I beg to differ. That's the issue. That's the point.
No.
The family had, I'd like to see
Excuse
the
me.
agreement.
Order, please. Please don't discuss. I'd like for her to be able to give her statement in totality, and then when Ms. Rita Knight Gray is finished with her statement in totality, then trustees, please feel free to say what you need to say to be able to get clarity, and then so that we can move on. We do have a board member here that would like to address the issue as well. It's up to the board's pleasure whether they will hear board member, etc. Ms. Rita Knight Gray, when you finish with your comments or not?
No, I'm not finished.
Please.
In the other case of it being secure, upstairs is a good place. We did get a gate for it. That was the reason, to keep people from coming in and out. I guess the gate had to be removed because another person is up there and she had to get to the desk. We do not have a secure area to put it. That's it. You cannot put it in the Llewellyn room because it is not secure.
Right.
Presently, when I started it, we were going to digitize everything so it would be on DVDs and people would be able to obtain the material from that or from online. Unfortunately, the funding ran out and my job was changed to just being a librarian instead of being an archivist. That's the reason why it's not finished to the point that it should be finished. It is finished to the point if anybody wants to do any research, anybody wants to look up anything, just like you do in any other archive, you have to contact the person in charge of the archive in order to take a look at the material. It's not a museum, it's an archive, which is very different. Most of the stuff on display is facsimile because you cannot put the real material on display because we do not have adequate cases to do so. They're not environmentally sound. The rooms aren't environmentally sound. In fact, there's nothing in the library that's environmentally sound for the material, except upstairs on the 3rd floor where I was because I could control the temperature. The temperature and the lighting is the primary problem with archival material.
That sounds like we really need to do a big fundraiser for me and some grant writing. Thank you very much. That does conclude your report.
Yes, it does.
I thank you. Mr. Trustee is always first, and then,
I would like to ask the board, excuse me, I'd like to ask the board to focus on this so that we are certain that those artifacts remain with the library and that the collection remains whole, number one. I have to stress again, the fight that the school board has exercised over this board is not in charge of anything, and they cannot say that they want to give anything back to the family. Rita Knight Gray just mentioned that a moment ago. And I'm saying it because it needs to be said. The school board is not over anything at this library at all. And not any trustee, not a budget, not any tax, because they're the taxing authority, not because they appoint trustees, nothing.
Mr. Fambro, I certainly thank you for your
very much,
comments.
Madam Chair.
I think everyone has really gotten your point and gotten your point. I have a couple points that I'd like to make, please, sir. And my first point is this. I would really like to see anything that's in writing about the Llewellyn collection, how it got to us, who it came from, and anything that paperwork says. You see, I'm a researcher. I know that when you get through those documents and see what it says, then you can make determinations. And I'm going to ask Ms. Rita Knight Gray if you will work with me as board president. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Yes, sir. Would you serve on that committee with us?
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
asked Ms. Knight-Gray to do a timeline and to reconstruct the whole history of the collection.
Yes.
And I asked her to do that last week, and I